Brendan Fraser, the rise and fall of a Hollywood star. Brendan Fraser's name used to be synonymous with Hollywood's golden era of comedies and adventure films. He was the heartthrob of the 90s and early 2000s, gracing the screens in a variety of roles that showcased his comedic timing, charm, and remarkable physicality. Films like Encino Man, 1992, George of the Jungle, 1997, and The Mummy franchise, 1999 to 2008, made him a household name. He was young, funny, and effortlessly likable, an actor who had it all. However, what many fans didn't see was the personal and physical toll that his career was taking on him behind the scenes. Brendan Fraser's life, like his career, went through a series of highs and lows that would eventually reshape who he was as a person and as an actor. His fall from Hollywood stardom was not due to a lack of talent or appeal, but rather a brutal combination of physical injuries, personal struggles, and a deep sense of emotional pain that he kept hidden for years. In the early part of his career, Brendan was celebrated for his athleticism and ability to perform many of his own stunts, particularly in his action-adventure roles. He was often seen hanging from ropes, tumbling, and doing his own physical work, including some of the more death-defying stunts in the Mummy series. He was known for his willingness to throw himself into difficult and dangerous physical tasks, regardless of the cost. This would eventually come back to haunt him. Brendan had always been a performer who threw himself completely into his work, but in doing so, he paid a heavy price. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Brendan's star was shining brightly. He had a string of successful films under his belt, and audiences loved him. But behind the scenes, his body was beginning to suffer from the intense physical demands of his roles. During the filming of the Mummy series, he experienced a series of injuries that would set the stage for a physical decline that would follow him throughout the rest of his career. One of the most significant injuries occurred in 1997 while filming The Mummy. Brendan injured his back during a stunt, an incident that would later require multiple surgeries. But this was only the beginning of his physical challenges. As he continued to take on physically demanding roles, the strain on his body only grew. By the early 2000s, Brendan was facing a mounting number of health problems that were beginning to affect his career. He had suffered from a series of serious injuries, including a torn ligament in his knee, damage to his spine, and a broken vertebra. These injuries were all the result of years of performing his own stunts in action-packed films. But what made matters worse was the fact that Brendan had been so dedicated to his craft that he often ignored the pain, working through the injuries and pushing his body to the brink. He was, in many ways, a victim of his own ambition and determination. While Brendan's physical health was deteriorating, so too was his emotional well-being. The physical toll of his injuries was compounded by a series of personal struggles that had begun to weigh heavily on him. In 2003, Brendan went through a highly publicized divorce from his wife, Afton Smith. The couple had 3 children together, and their separation was difficult for Brendan, not just emotionally, but financially as well. The divorce was a major turning point in his life, and it was the beginning of a period of self-reflection and personal hardship. At the same time, Brendan's career began to falter. The films that had made him famous were no longer resonating with audiences, and his box office appeal began to fade. What had once been a string of successes became a series of flops and underperforming films. For a time, it seemed like Brendan had disappeared from the public eye altogether. Despite the pain and setbacks, Brendan continued to try to move forward, though his physical health and mental well-being were rapidly deteriorating. He was forced to undergo multiple surgeries over the years to repair the damage caused by the physical demands of his career. The pain became a constant companion, and Brendan found himself struggling to keep up with the demands of his profession. His body, once capable of performing death-defying stunts, was now in constant pain, and it became harder and harder for him to do the things that had made him so beloved in the first place. In 2013, Brendan took a break from acting altogether. He disappeared from the Hollywood scene, a move that left fans wondering what had happened to the charming star they once knew. For years, he remained largely out of the public eye, focusing on his recovery and trying to find a way to heal, both physically and emotionally. It was during this period that he began to truly reflect on his life and career. He realized that while his physical injuries had played a significant role in his departure from Hollywood, it was his emotional struggles that had left the deepest scars. The pain he had been carrying, both physical and emotional, had become too much to bear, and he needed to step away from the spotlight to heal. During this time of reflection, Brendan began to speak out about the darker side of Hollywood and the toll it had taken on him. In 2018, he gave a candid interview to GQ in which he opened up about the years of pain, the toll of his injuries, and the emotional trauma he had endured. In the interview, he revealed that he had suffered from severe depression, anxiety, and feelings of isolation, which he had kept hidden for years. For the first time, he shared the story of how his struggles with Hollywood and his own body had pushed him to the brink. The interview was a breakthrough moment for Brendan, as he finally opened up about his pain and the ways in which he had been affected by the pressures of his career. It was a raw, honest admission, and it resonated with many who had long admired him. Brendan's decision to step away from the public eye was a difficult one, but it marked the beginning of his journey toward healing. It was during this time that he began to focus on rebuilding his health, both physically and emotionally. He underwent further surgeries to repair the damage done to his body and sought therapy to help him address his mental health struggles. While it would be years before he fully recovered, this period of introspection and self-care was crucial for his well-being. In the years following his hiatus from Hollywood, Brendan gradually began to make his return to acting. His comeback started with smaller roles in television, such as his appearance in The Affair, 2016, where his performance was met with critical acclaim. But it wasn't until 2022 that he truly made his return to the spotlight in a major way. His performance in The Whale, 2022, directed by Darren Aronofsky, was a powerful, emotionally raw portrayal of a man struggling with his own demons. Brendan's performance in the film was widely praised, earning him numerous awards and nominations, including a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor. This film marked a turning point not just in his career, but in his personal journey, a moment of redemption for an actor who had suffered for so long. Brendan Fraser, healing and the road to redemption. Brendan Fraser's return to Hollywood wasn't just a career revival, it was a personal renaissance. After years of physical pain, emotional struggles, and self-imposed isolation, Brendan began the long and arduous journey of healing. His path back into the public eye wasn't just about getting back on screen, it was about confronting the trauma he had carried for so many years. The time he took away from the industry wasn't simply a break, it was a critical period of self-discovery, growth, and recovery. And his eventual return, culminating in his performance in The Whale, 2022, became a symbol of the resilience and perseverance that had defined his life. The breaking point and the decision to step away. By the time Brendan Fraser decided to step away from Hollywood in the early 2010s, he was physically and emotionally broken. His body, ravaged by a series of injuries sustained while performing his own stunts, was no longer capable of doing the things that had once defined his career. His physical struggles were compounded by deep emotional pain, his marriage to Afton Smith had ended in divorce, his career was faltering, and he had become disillusioned by the pressures and expectations of the Hollywood machine. But more than that, Brendan was struggling with his mental health, suffering from depression and anxiety that stemmed from the culmination of years of pushing himself too hard, both physically and emotionally. In 2013, after taking a break from acting to focus on his well-being, Brendan made the difficult decision to step away from the spotlight altogether. His exit from Hollywood was both voluntary and necessary. He needed time to heal, not just from the physical injuries that had taken a toll on his body, but also from the emotional wounds he had suffered from his personal life and the pressures of fame. In the years that followed, Brendan stayed out of the public eye, focusing on recovery and reconnecting with his sense of self. But his time away wasn't just about healing his body, it was about confronting the trauma that had shaped his life for so long. Facing the darkness, mental health struggles, and a new perspective. For Brendan, the road to recovery wasn't just about physical therapy or surgery, it was about facing the emotional scars that had been left by his years in Hollywood. He had spent so much time hiding his pain, whether physical or emotional, behind the mask of a charming, fun-loving actor that it became almost impossible for him to ask for help. He had suffered silently for years, bottling up his feelings of isolation, grief, and loss. In interviews and public statements, Brendan has been candid about the mental health struggles he faced during this time. He spoke openly about the depression and anxiety that gripped him, revealing that the pressure of maintaining his public image and dealing with the aftermath of his injuries had taken a severe toll on his mental well-being. In a landmark interview with GQ in 2018, he opened up about how the physical pain from his injuries was exacerbated by the emotional strain of his personal and professional life. "I had to heal," he said. "But I didn't know how to ask for help." This honesty was a revelation to many who had only seen Brendan through the lens of his comedic and adventurous roles. It was during this period of self-reflection that Brendan began to address his mental health with the seriousness it deserved. He sought therapy, took time to process his feelings, and began to focus on his own emotional well-being. Brendan's willingness to face these demons head-on was an integral part of his healing process. For the first time in years, he was able to confront his pain, rather than hiding from it. This was no easy feat. Breaking through the layers of depression and self-doubt that had accumulated over the years was a monumental challenge. But it was also the first step toward his eventual redemption. The physical toll, recovering from years of injury. While Brendan's emotional healing was essential to his recovery, his physical healing was just as crucial. For years, his body had been subjected to extreme physical demands, from his action-packed roles in The Mummy and George of the Jungle to the intense stunts and fight scenes he performed without hesitation. His decision to do most of his own stunts in these films, though admirable, came with a significant cost. By the time he was in his early 40s, his body was in constant pain. In addition to the back injuries sustained while filming The Mummy, Brendan had torn a ligament in his knee, endured multiple surgeries on his spine, and even suffered broken vertebrae. These injuries were not just a few isolated incidents, they were the result of years of wear and tear from performing dangerous stunts without proper recovery time. What made matters worse was Brendan's refusal to stop or slow down. At the height of his career, he had been so committed to his work that he ignored the warning signs of physical strain, pushing his body beyond its limits. In retrospect, Brendan acknowledges that this was a mistake, but at the time, his desire to prove himself and keep up with the physical demands of his roles outweighed his need for rest and recovery. When Brendan finally took a break from acting, he began a long process of rehabilitation. He underwent several surgeries to repair the damage done to his spine, back, and knee. He also committed to physical therapy, trying to regain mobility and strength that had been lost due to years of injury. This was not a quick process. Brendan's injuries were severe and long-lasting, requiring years of careful treatment and gradual recovery. But through it all, Brendan was determined to reclaim his physical health. He wasn't just fighting to return to acting, he was fighting to regain his quality of life. The comeback, rebuilding a career. While Brendan was working on his physical and emotional recovery, he was also beginning to consider his return to acting. The idea of re-entering Hollywood after such a long break was daunting, but it was clear that Brendan had something to offer, something more profound than just his comedic talents. He had undergone a transformation, and it was time for him to bring that experience to the screen. His return to acting began slowly. In 2016, he appeared in a recurring role on the television series The Affair, marking his first major return to acting in years. His performance in the series received critical praise, with many noting how his emotional depth and vulnerability had matured during his time away from the industry. But it wasn't until 2022 that Brendan truly made a triumphant comeback with his role in The Whale, directed by Darren Aronofsky. In The Whale, Brendan portrayed Charlie, a reclusive, morbidly obese English teacher trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter. The role was physically and emotionally demanding, requiring Brendan to gain weight and wear prosthetics, but it was also a deeply personal one. The character of Charlie, a man struggling with self-doubt and guilt, mirrored many of the themes Brendan had faced in his own life: grief, loss, and the struggle to regain control over his destiny. Brendan's performance was a revelation: raw, powerful, and layered with complexity. It was a performance that not only showcased his acting abilities but also highlighted his personal growth. The success of The Whale was a moment of redemption for Brendan. It earned him numerous accolades, including a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. More importantly, it was a moment of validation for an actor who had spent years in the shadows, struggling to rebuild his life and career. Brendan's comeback was a testament to the power of perseverance, and it resonated with fans and critics alike who had followed his journey. It was a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, it's possible to rise again. Brendan Fraser, the triumph of resilience and his lasting legacy. Brendan Fraser's transformation over the past decade has been nothing short of extraordinary. After years of physical and emotional challenges, his return to Hollywood wasn't just a career revival, it was a profound personal victory. The film that truly marked this rebirth was The Whale, 2022, directed by Darren Aronofsky. This film became a defining moment in Brendan's career, proving that even after years of struggle, an actor could reinvent themselves and claim the spotlight once more. Yet, Brendan's story is not just about making a comeback, it's about resilience, self-acceptance, and the enduring power of perseverance. The Power of the Whale, a role of a lifetime. Brendan's role in The Whale was a significant turning point, both for the actor and for his audience. He portrayed Charlie, a morbidly obese man who isolates himself from the world, struggling to reconnect with his estranged daughter. The character, deeply flawed yet incredibly human, resonated with audiences and critics alike, as it showcased a raw, vulnerable side of Brendan that had not been seen before. The role demanded not just physical transformation, but a deep emotional commitment, and Brendan threw himself into it wholeheartedly. For Brendan, the character of Charlie was a reflection of his own personal journey. Charlie's struggle with guilt, self-worth, and the desire to heal mirrored Brendan's own path of recovery and reinvention. Just as Charlie battles his inner demons and tries to reconcile with his past, Brendan had to confront his own struggles, both physical and emotional, before he could take on such a complex role. The emotional weight of The Whale was not lost on Brendan, and he poured every ounce of his experience and healing into the performance. Brendan's portrayal of Charlie was nothing short of transformative. The role required him to wear prosthetics to depict Charlie's physical condition, but the true transformation was internal. His performance was marked by its authenticity, its vulnerability, and its emotional depth. Brendan captured Charlie's isolation, pain, and hope in a way that was deeply moving. Critics praised his work, with many noting that it was one of the best performances of his career. The film's success, both critically and commercially, marked the ultimate validation of Brendan's return to acting after years of hardship. Award nominations and recognition. The reception to Brendan's performance in The Whale was overwhelming, and the accolades quickly followed. He received a plethora of award nominations, culminating in a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Drama. The win was a testament to the hard work, perseverance, and personal growth Brendan had undergone over the years. His acceptance speech at the Golden Globes was a heartfelt moment, where he reflected on his journey back to the top and thanked those who had supported him throughout his recovery. The success of The Whale not only solidified Brendan's place in Hollywood once more but also marked a cultural shift. His story became one of the most talked about in the entertainment world, symbolizing the power of resilience and the possibility of redemption, even after years of hardship. Brendan's comeback was not just a victory for him, but a powerful statement for anyone who had faced personal struggles and believed they could never overcome them. His success in The Whale showed that it's never too late to start over and redefine your career. Brendan also received nominations for several prestigious awards, including the Screen Actors Guild Awards and Critics' Choice Awards. His performance was widely regarded as one of the most emotionally complex portrayals of the year, earning him not only a new wave of admiration from fans but also respect from his peers in the industry. The public's love for Brendan, a reflection of authenticity. One of the most significant aspects of Brendan's comeback is the way in which the public embraced him. Fans who had followed his career through its peaks and valleys were thrilled to see him back in the spotlight, but more importantly, they celebrated the authenticity he brought to his roles. For years, Brendan had been known as a charming, likable actor, someone who was often the center of lighthearted comedy and action-adventure films. But through his transformation in The Whale, the public began to see a different side of him, a man who had faced significant pain and come out the other side stronger and more compassionate. Brendan's humility and openness in discussing his struggles with mental and physical health made him even more relatable to his fans. His candidness about his time away from Hollywood and the personal hardships he endured resonated with millions of people. In interviews, he expressed how deeply he appreciated the support he had received from his fans, especially those who had stood by him during his absence from the limelight. Brendan's authenticity, both on and off-screen, became a defining aspect of his appeal. In an era of celebrity culture that often values image over substance, Brendan stood out as a symbol of vulnerability and strength. The resilient actor, a new chapter in Brendan's career. Brendan Fraser's comeback wasn't just about reclaiming his past stardom, it was about reinventing himself as a mature actor who could tackle complex, nuanced roles. In the years leading up to The Whale, Brendan had taken on smaller roles in television and independent films. These roles gave him the opportunity to stretch his acting muscles and explore more diverse characters. While these projects were well received, it was clear that the public was waiting for his big return. The Whale marked the beginning of a new chapter in Brendan's career. No longer the fresh-faced, action hero star he once was, Brendan was now an actor with a rich and complex emotional range. He had gone through a transformation, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, and this shift was reflected in his choice of roles. Looking ahead, it is clear that Brendan's story is far from over. His comeback has sparked new interest in his talents, and he is now positioned to continue building on the momentum of The Whale. Industry insiders have suggested that this role could lead to even more prestigious opportunities, potentially even award-winning projects in the future. For Brendan, it's not about chasing the same fame he once had, it's about finding new avenues for artistic expression and continuing to evolve as an actor. Moreover, Brendan's focus now seems to be on the work itself, rather than the fame that once defined his early career. His emphasis on vulnerability and emotional authenticity in his performances has made him an actor who can speak to a wide range of human experiences. This new chapter is about finding peace with himself and his legacy, while continuing to make a positive impact on the world through his work. A lasting legacy, more than just an actor. Brendan Fraser's legacy in Hollywood will not just be defined by his roles in blockbuster films or his comedic charm. His journey, from the height of stardom to the depths of personal and physical struggle, and back to a triumphant return, has become a symbol of resilience. Brendan is no longer just an actor, he is an example of the power of perseverance, the importance of self-care, and the ability to reinvent oneself after hardship. In a world where public figures often disappear from view during difficult times, Brendan's openness about his struggles has set him apart. He has shown that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength, and that taking time for oneself, physically and emotionally, is essential for long-term happiness and success. His story is an inspiration to anyone who has ever felt lost or broken. If Brendan Fraser can rise from the ashes of his career and personal life, then anyone can find the strength to overcome their own challenges and rebuild their lives. Today, as Brendan continues to take on meaningful roles and explore new facets of his craft, his legacy as a symbol of resilience, authenticity, and self-reinvention will only grow. His story is far from over, and as he steps into the future with renewed purpose, there is no telling how much more he will accomplish. Brendan Fraser, legacy, inspiration, and the road ahead. Brendan Fraser's incredible comeback story has captivated audiences around the world, but his journey is more than just a tale of Hollywood highs and lows. It's a powerful reminder of the human spirit's resilience, the importance of self-care, and the possibility of reinvention. The actor's return to the spotlight, particularly after years of personal and physical challenges, has sparked a much-needed conversation about the pressures of fame, the reality of mental health struggles, and the courage it takes to rebuild after hitting rock bottom. But as Brendan moves forward, his legacy has grown far beyond his film career. His story is one of self-redemption, kindness, and a deep commitment to authenticity, values that resonate deeply in a world that often values success over well-being. The rise of a new era. Brendan as a Hollywood icon. For many, Brendan Fraser's return to acting in The Whale was not just about witnessing a talented actor reclaim his place in Hollywood. It was about seeing a man who had faced unimaginable challenges rise from the ashes, reinvent himself, and find his place in a new phase of his career. Brendan's emotional and physical transformation wasn't just about overcoming the trauma of the past, it was about embracing the lessons learned from those difficult years and using them to fuel his future. His role as Charlie in The Whale became more than just a performance, it was a culmination of everything he had endured and everything he had become. Brendan had never shied away from intense roles before, but this one required a deeper level of emotional vulnerability than anything he had ever done. Through the process of taking on this role, Brendan did more than just act, he healed, in front of the camera and behind it. For Brendan, the film was both a personal and professional breakthrough, as it allowed him to confront his past struggles while offering audiences a deeply moving and empathetic portrayal of a man trying to reclaim his life. Critics and audiences alike celebrated his return, and his performance was seen as a career-defining moment. The film's success also marked a turning point for Brendan Fraser, as it established him as a serious actor, capable of bringing nuance and emotional depth to complex roles. But while Brendan was undoubtedly proud of his success, his true victory was in the growth and healing he had undergone in order to get to that point. Hollywood's changing landscape and Brendan's role in it. The film industry has changed significantly since Brendan first rose to fame in the 90s. The rise of social media, the evolution of streaming services, and a growing demand for diverse, inclusive storytelling have all transformed the way Hollywood operates. For many actors, the pressure to conform to industry standards of success, fame, wealth, and constant public visibility can be overwhelming. But Brendan Fraser's story is different. His decision to step away from Hollywood, to prioritize his health and well-being, and to return when he was truly ready, sent a powerful message to the industry: it's okay to take a break, it's okay to seek help, and it's okay to change the trajectory of your career when it no longer serves your best interests. Brendan's willingness to be vulnerable, whether by sharing his personal struggles with mental health or discussing his body's physical limitations, has resonated with a new generation of actors and fans alike. He has become a symbol of the changing nature of Hollywood, where authenticity and emotional honesty are becoming more valued than just the ability to be a box office draw. His return signals the possibility of a Hollywood where actors can have longevity not by adhering to a strict formula of success, but by embracing their personal journeys and finding roles that reflect their experiences. In a time when many celebrities focus on cultivating a perfect public image, Brendan Fraser has become a refreshing departure from the norm. He shows us that being true to oneself, flaws, struggles, and all, is not only possible, but ultimately more rewarding. In many ways, Brendan's story challenges the superficial standards that Hollywood often imposes on its stars, proving that success in the industry doesn't have to come at the cost of personal well-being. A legacy built on resilience and authenticity. Brendan Fraser's legacy is one that will endure far beyond the characters he portrayed on screen. While he may have played heroic, adventurous, and comedic roles throughout his career, his true impact lies in the way he handled the trials and tribulations of life itself. His openness about his struggles has made him a beloved figure not just among fans, but also among his peers in the industry. His story is a beacon of hope for anyone who has ever faced adversity, whether it's physical injury, emotional pain, or personal loss, and thought they could never recover. Brendan's willingness to confront his past and share his personal journey has inspired countless individuals to take control of their own narratives. He has shown that it's not about how many times you fall, but how you rise each time that truly matters. His comeback story serves as a powerful reminder that it is never too late to reinvent yourself, pursue your passions, and build a life that is authentic to who you are. As Brendan continues to take on meaningful roles, both in film and television, his impact will only grow. His legacy will not only be defined by his acting ability, but by the courage and strength he demonstrated in rebuilding his life. Brendan Fraser's story is proof that no matter how hard life gets, there is always room for hope, healing, and the possibility of redemption. Looking ahead, a bright future. As Brendan Fraser continues to rebuild his career and embrace new opportunities, his future is filled with promise. His return to acting has been met with immense gratitude and excitement from fans and colleagues alike, and it's clear that there is much more to come. Brendan is no longer the young star from The Mummy or George of the Jungle. He's a seasoned actor, a father, and a man who has overcome more than most could ever imagine. The industry is also evolving in a way that allows for more diverse types of storytelling, and Brendan is now in a unique position to contribute to this new wave of cinema. His experiences, both as an actor and as a human being, have shaped him into someone who is capable of tackling a wide range of roles with depth and authenticity. There is a growing recognition that actors like Brendan, who are willing to take on roles that explore the complexities of the human experience, have a vital place in Hollywood. With projects on the horizon, including new television roles in independent films, Brendan Fraser's legacy is far from complete. His return to the industry is not just a personal triumph, but a gift to his fans and to the industry that once defined him. As he continues to create art and share his story, he serves as a reminder that there is always more to an actor than what we see on screen. His journey proves that the most meaningful roles we can play are the ones in our own lives. Brendan Fraser's incredible journey reminds us that no matter the obstacles, redemption and transformation are always possible. His story of resilience and authenticity is truly inspiring, and his return to Hollywood proves that it's never too late to reclaim your story and rise again. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Drop a comment below and let us know what part of Brendan's journey resonated with you the most. Thanks for watching.